would like Grinch style dee 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 up the back like stairway, like an alleyway. What is this? Like West Side Story? Like I literally am like going up what feels like a fire escape dee, 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 to get into her room. And then I would dee 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 out of there.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. Today I'm here with my friend, comedian, content creator, and also, I don't know if I've ever told you this, my favorite follow on the internet.
Oh, wow.
Truly such a fun follow, Rachel Samples.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
That was so sweet.
Thanks for being here. Everyone
so
will be
nice.
like, who's Rachel? I'm like, just get on your Instagram, follow right now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Today we're talking about sorority love and hiding sorority love.
Yeah, I was going to do maybe like a sorority symbol there.
You had a symbol?
Yeah, it was a kite, which
That
definitely
looks
doesn't
like a
have any
vagina.
sort of sexual, doesn't feel sexual at all. Yeah. Yeah.
That is so perfect.
I see what you're doing there. Okay.
All right, before we get there,
Okay.
tell me about you. Who are you? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in a small state called Delaware. I'm from the East Coast. I went to an all-girls school most of my life, Catholic. That's why we're in
Lucky.
therapy now. No, just like low-key childhood. Didn't have any sort of like queer moments in childhood necessarily. I did have like a random like semi-makeout smooch go-to person in high school.
Okay, that's pretty clear.
But not in my mind. Like I just was like, oh, that happened, whatever. Boyfriend time. Like
How did that happen though? How do you stumble upon?
stumble upon a smooch.
Was it several times or just one time?
It was several times. It was like, yeah, it was someone who I like played sports with, and it was like just making out casually and never addressing it.
Oh my God.
You know?
Yep.
Like super healthy, good dynamic that doesn't mess with your head at all. So I feel like high school into college, I had like, a handful of boyfriends, and I always pursued like hyper masculine, athletic guys. Mm-hmm. And looking back, I think I did that because I needed to like over-index. My partner needed to over-index in masculinity to cover up like mine.
That's so interesting.
And yeah, it was just like, I'm not kidding. Like in Delaware, I would pursue the number one soccer player. Like he was ranked in the state. Like I needed the ranking to say like, he's number one at fill in the blank sport. That's who I want.
And he's mine.
Yeah. Yeah. For me to like maybe make out with you 3 times and be like, bye in 3 months. like it was just a weird, twisted sort of like mentality in the dating sense of things.
I think there is patterns of like who we date when we're closeted.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You're like, I feel safe with this person, and they're like part of my, I guess, sort of like costume of how I'm showing up in the world a little bit.
Totally. Yeah.
So what's next? I did graduate from high school.
Good for you.
I went to Syracuse for college and loved it. I think, look, this is all like retrospective now, but I definitely had feelings for my freshman year roommate. And that I just thought was like best friend mode, like just best friends, always together, like truly inseparable. But there's things I look back on where I guess some friends do this, but like I would like wait to like walk with her to class and like little like sweetie pie stuff like that.
Yeah.
That again, in the moment I was like, that's what friends do.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like if I asked any friends out, they'd be like, I'm not waiting for you to walk to class. Like, no, but just things like that. And like, we were close, obviously freshman year, it was like a transfer situation. So we became roommates.
And while you guys were living together, was there ever like never?
Nothing. Just like, again, like just like bestie vibes. Let's go. Like, what's our agenda? Like things like that. Both of us seeing guys.
Do you think she was also kind of feeling the same way though? Like the intensity of the friendship and like, no?
I just don't know. I'm like, maybe that was just like clocking like a best friendness. I have no clue at that time. No clue. Also, you'll see a common thread throughout this entire saga is my obliviousness and like just me like not playing dumb, but just like truly like being completely unaware throughout this entire situation.
Okay, I can't wait.
So besties through freshman year, sophomore year, that's when I started to notice that. So she had joined a sorority. I hadn't joined one yet. I didn't do it freshman year. I was like, it wasn't my thing. Very quickly, like sophomore year, I was like, oh, this is like all my friends are gone now on the weekends. There's like agendas. I'm kind of missing out. I need to maybe explore this. So before rushing, I remember having a lot of like high tension moments with my friend. Like I was getting really frustrated that she was pulled in a lot of different social directions. I had 0.0 tolerance for her hooking up with frat guys, like just like really angry.
Yeah.
I could not like calculate what was going on.
You had no idea why. You're just like,
no.
Yeah.
And I was seeing a guy at the time. Like I was just like, why am I so frustrated with you a lot? I couldn't really express it. I think that at that time she was starting to get clued in on why I might be upset. Like, but she never expressed it to me. It was only until later. But so
were you actively asking yourself those questions? Like, why am I so upset? Or were you just like, were you in it enough, or were you just getting upset and just like, ugh?
I don't think I had the like intuition to look in like that. I think I was just like, she's being annoying. Like, like, let's go party. Like, let's be busy. Let's not get sad. That's all. That was always my MO. Like, let's just be busy. Don't worry about it. Like, whatever. So I kept pushing that to the side. I ended up joining a sorority my sophomore year spring. Best decision ever. So fun. Great group of people. And it was very quickly like, oh, now have social obligations. So I think I was less focused
on her. Totally.
So going into junior year, I ended up not getting into this like study abroad situation. And I was devastated. I had been planning for that to go my spring junior year. And my friend, she became president of her sorority. So she was staying on campus too. She wasn't going anywhere.
What is a president of a sorority?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I really invite people to comment what they think that job is and what they think that job should be. And because from what I saw, it's so much administrative work. And you essentially represent the brand of your sorority, and you are going to like national chapter meetups for other campuses. It's a lot of like networking, community building, and you're in charge of rush. So recruitment of new members. It's just like it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's
at first I thought maybe I would want to be president, but when you said administrative, I was like, maybe I'll be the mayor.
So you should have been what I was, which was social chair.
Yes, that sounds great.
Social chair was coming up with themes for parties. I had a co-social chair who was the best because she was the money one and like the rule follower. And she's like, here's the wristbands that we need to get. And then I was like, all right, let's kick it around. Let's do like Hawaiian shirt themed and like
wear this shirt and give me your money.
Yeah. It's the best. It was so fun.
Okay, love that. So she was president. Sorry for her. That sucks.
There was a lot. So she was like hyper involved in that. So we started spending more time together. Again, I'm in like deep, dark mode because I'm just so bummed. And it was through like that month of like hanging out. I realized we were like getting closer, like definitely like a little bit more like physically like touchy, like admiration stuff. But I'm still in like oblivion mode. Sad.
Who's initiating that though?
She is.
She is.
Yes.
Oh my God. Shock. Okay.
Yeah, she is. So I was like, okay, whatever. We were hanging out one night and it was like Halloween time and truly just hanging out. And she's like, I'm too tired. I'm not going back to the sorority house. I lived in an apartment. And I was like, okay, you can sleep over. And then I could just tell that there was like a different energy about this. And I was like, is something going to happen? I feel crazy. I feel crazy because I absolutely love this person and don't want to make anything weird. I think I'm like also really sad right now. So I don't like the emotion ranges were all over the place.
I feel like this has got to happen. This is like an experience that all lesbians feel. Like that one where you're like, oh my God, this is a friend. Do we take it to that level? Like I'm sure so many people have experienced that exact thing.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
I know. It's, listen, trust your gut.
And fuck her.
We kept it G. We kept it G.
Okay. Kiss her, my bad.
That's so funny to me. It was just a stream of bleeping, and I'm like, dude. We literally just kissed. It was really sweet. It was like fucking Nicholas Sparks cutie moment, and you just had to
bend her over.
Like, whoa. Yeah, so like we literally got into bed, and I like remember like one of those like when you're like laying on your back and like your heart is like Looney Tunes, like heart shape pounding out of chest, and I just was like, what the hell is going on? Like, am I gonna fuck it. And then I just like leaned over, we kissed, and it was like one of those where like you pull back. Like I almost felt like in like when little kids kiss in movies, you know, like My Girl or whatever, and they're like like it was that. I remember she was like, whoa, is this gonna be like weird in the morning? And I was like, I don't think it's weird unless we make it weird. We like made out a little bit more and then truly like fell asleep. And it was just like, it was like a rush of relief for me. Like I wasn't even like scared about the morning part.
Oh, you weren't?
And when I say fell asleep, you know, I was just like this. I was like,
Yeah, I'm like, wait, you slept?
like a fucking vampire. It's just like, I was just freaking out in my head, but I do specifically remember just the heart pounding on my chest, and then also just being like, oh, this is like nothing I've ever felt before. Yeah.
Do you think that was like a gay panic moment?
I don't think it was a panic moment. It was like, it felt more on the relief scale of things.
Oh,
like I was
gosh.
just like euphoria.
Did you ever have a panic moment? Or once you kind of let it in, was it just like, okay, this is what's been missing?
Yeah, panic ensued.
Got it. Okay.
Panic ensued.
Okay.
But in that moment,
We're
that
getting
was
there.
magic.
We're getting to the panic. Don't worry, guys.
That was magic. That was magic in that moment. And then, next morning, woke up, totally normal, not weird vibes.
Did you address it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And like made out again.
Got it.
And then it was like, okay, let's embark on this very funky, emotionally draining year and a half of being secretly closeted and like hooking up.
Oh my God. Okay, tell me about that. So now we're like kind of full send.
Yeah.
Was there a discussion of like, are we dating? Are we just like hooking up? What is it? What is it?
I think it was an unspoken thing, and it wasn't until probably that like following summer that it was like, what are we doing?
Got it. Okay.
But at the time when we first got together, I was like, I kind of had like a boyfriend, and
complicated.
I remember one night that she was over and he was calling me a bunch, and literally in bed, and I can hear tap, tap, tap on the window, and he's throwing rocks.
Do we not have cell phones at this point?
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, he's calling
I
you.
had like 30 missed calls.
Okay,
Like,
if you ignore 30 fucking calls,
throwing rocks at the window.
this is the problem with men. I'm sorry. All those movies have romanticized this. This is fucking weird. If you're throwing rocks at my window, I'm calling the police.
Yeah, he was tossing rocks, and the next morning, he was an architect major. The next morning, I came outside on the stoop, and there was a little house built with the rocks on the patio step.
No, this is fucking weird. This is bizarre. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to this man out there. I hope he doesn't listen to this, but this is fucking weird.
I think he's happily married now.
Okay.
Yeah. It all worked out. But
Okay.
what
Good
a
luck to
trip.
them.
Yeah. So the house was the end of us. And from there, the fall into like that spring situation was just like really hyper, like exhausting double life mode. Because it was just like being discreet, still hanging out with our group of friends, trying to privately meet up. She lives in a sorority house.
Yeah, that's messy.
So I would like, she had the presidential suite.
Wow.
What is this, a Hilton?
Okay, that's the good part about being the president. You get the suite. What does the social chair get?
Nothing, dude.
Oh, fuck.
Nothing. We just
Fuck.
like we just.
Okay, I want to be president. I want the suite.
She had literally a king size bed in college. Can you imagine a king size bed? And I would like Grinch style, dee up the back like stairway, like an alleyway. What is this? Like West Side Story? Like I literally am like going up what feels like a fire escape to get into her room, and then I would out of there.
Okay, but this was really smart tactic of you because you started dating the president, so you got the king bed.
Yeah, that's really
Smart.
why it started to happen. Yeah, that's why. I just wanted access. It was all for access. But yeah, it was a trip. And like also just like so oblivious at that time to think that people weren't like picking up on stuff like that.
I was going to ask, did people catch
on? Why is Rachel hanging out here all the time? Why is she at the sorority? Like, it was fine to have visitors, but it was just like, people were just like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, like, why are you like, okay, cool. But it was also really nice at that time that a couple girls like in my sorority that I met had like an off-campus house. So like she could leave that world and come into my world. And it was nice to like kind of let your guard down a little bit.
And those people knew or didn't
Not really.
No.
Not
so
really.
Nobody knew.
I had one friend who knew, and it was because I knew she was going through a similar thing. It was unspoken. It's such a crystal clear thing in my mind that she was crying in her room, so upset, like came in, stormed, slammed the door behind her. And she was doing one of those where like your back's against the door and you're like slumped on the floor, like sobbing, like this. And I was like on the other side of the door and I was like, hey, can you let me in? She's like, I can't let you in. You'll never understand. And I was like, I understand. Open the door. And she was like, ugh. And I like shimmied, and both of us just sat backs against the wall like this. And we were silent together for a while. And I was like, it sucks, right? And she's like, it really sucks. And it was like this conversation and click moment that I was like, I got you, you got me.
Wow.
We're both going through the same thing. We're both so confused and broken and just like, I got you. I'm not gonna say anything. You got me. And
did you know who her girl was? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, how wild is that?
Yeah.
But so lucky that you like had someone
wild
to go through it with.
Wild.
Did you guys ever get close to being caught?
Like mere seconds, like of being able to like just like launch myself like across the room and like stuff like down a hallway. Like I was like,
you're like bruised everywhere.
Spider-Man, like just like I could fly my body around a space. Like things like that. I remember one time in her sorority, I was like carrying something and I dropped it, and she just out loud was like, "Babe."
Oh, that's the one that'll get you.
I was like, Rach. That's so weird. You said Rach weird. Yeah, just like little slip ups like that. But I remember getting a lot of like side comments and stuff from like frat guys and things like that. A lot of pitches for threesomes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
God, I hate men.
Yeah, they're like, well, you guys are already kind of like doing something, so come on in.
Yeah, like
you know what? Water's warm. That we were hoping that you'd ask that.
I was hoping. Ever worked? When has that ever fucking worked?
Amazing idea. I hope you have a robe. Finally, it's happening.
Yes, it's happening.
Yay!
Our plan worked.
Just get up and it's a slow clap of like lights on.
Okay. Did it get to a point where either one of you was like, I want to come out, and the other one wants to hide still? Or were you guys always on the same page?
So I would say there was a couple rough patches like that spring of like obligations to go to dances and formal things and bring a guy date for optics and things like that. So it was like we were still presenting. But I remember I had like a drinks thing with this guy that I didn't clock as a date. But we like just hung out and nothing romantic happened. And I remember she was like very upset that happened. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't really clock it like that. And it just bubbled up this conversation of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, is this the real deal? Is this like just a fun thing that's happening behind the scenes? Like, we're going into our senior year. This is single-handedly the most exhausting lifestyle either of us could have chosen. Mm-hmm. I think we both have so many mutual friends that it's like our worlds seamlessly intertwine, like whether we're friends or potentially if we're together. So why not just do the damn thing?
Yeah.
So it was that summer that it was like, we're going to tell like our close friends before we go back to school and just do it. Like it just got, I mean, we've been doing it for almost like a year at that point.
That lifestyle is so taxing. Like to have to remember the lies and keep track of everything
yeah. I'm really bad at lying in general that I just like was so exhausted all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you almost have to like separate from yourself a bit to like be able to compartmentalize and keep everything in line. You have to go and like fight or flight almost, like constantly be vigilant.
Absolutely. Like true dissociation.
Yeah.
I feel like in the past couple years of, again, like just therapy and learning more about yourself, or like me learning about myself, has been like, oh, feel all the feelings. Because I think at that time especially, it was like, let's make a joke and nothing matters and I'm never going to get upset about anything. Like I constantly defaulted to that as a protection versus actually like facing like, no, this is borderline traumatizing to have to pretend to be two people, and this is exhausting and I can't live life like this.
Yeah.
So
did you find it hard? Because like, okay, so then you were starting to come out to people. Did you find it hard to then be your authentic self and like in every environment that you were in?
Yeah, actually, like specifically that question reminds me of, I had a very, like bizarre is the word I'd like to describe it. I pretended to be a different person at work my first few years out of school.
Wow.
Like I was not gay.
Oh.
So I was gay with my close friends who knew me from college and things like that. But if I met new people out here in LA or at work, nobody knew anything about me, like personally. It was very strange.
Which is so interesting because you would think when you move away is the time to kind of like start over and just be completely fully out, but you still felt this inclination to hide.
And I think like a part of it, I think, is muscle memory from school.
Totally.
Like I literally was just like, I remember having coworkers like 8 or 9 months in, like we're hanging out outside of work and I'd be like, by the way, I have a girlfriend. Like just a weird, like panicky, you're going to perceive me differently type deal. I remember it in that sense. And then I also remember like actually using it in a way for my benefit when I had like male colleagues, because I felt like I could be in the boys club because I had a girlfriend. So like I can shoot the shit with you guys more seamlessly. I can hang out with you guys when like my other straight female counterparts, like just didn't have that like rapport with them.
Right.
So I almost like used it in both ways of like, I'm going to stay closed off with people and then not abusing it, but truly like feeling like I'm in a different category from other women at the company because I'm gay, and therefore I can hang with the guys because you're not a sexual threat or you're not going to consider anything with me because I'm like, I don't lean that way.
That's really interesting.
It was, I haven't thought about that actually for a while.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys are starting to come out.
Yeah. Senior year.
You come out to your close friends. Everybody took it well or didn't?
It was kind of like a chorus of no shit.
Yeah.
So, and why didn't you tell us sooner? And I was like, because I don't know what's going on with my life anymore. Like I told you when I was ready to tell you, but it was very much like a senior year support system around both of us that it was like a huge relief off of our shoulders.
It's so funny how like we build this up in our heads and we just like think and ruminate on like, oh my God, what are people going to say? What are they going to think? And like, this is not always the case, and I recognize that. But a lot of times it's like when you give people the chance, they're just going to love you and be like, okay. And then you're like, fuck, all that time that we've been miserable, you know, we could have been okay. So that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. I remember it being an emotional conversation with my parents. And again, I think it came more from a place of being upset that I couldn't say something sooner, that it felt like I was probably, I think that's always the misconception. It's not an active lie to you that I'm not telling you that I am gay. Like it's just me taking my time and sharing that with you when I'm ready. But I think other people perceive that as lying. And my like mom was very emotional. And I think it's also a little bit of a different beast when you come out with a significant other versus coming out solo. Like it was already a package deal. You've already met this person. So it feels like kind of a double whammy of both of you this has been happening around me and I haven't seen so it took a little bit there of just like, I guess that like emotional speed bump.
Yeah, that's just tough. And people do take it hard sometimes when it's like, this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with me.
Yeah. Truly has nothing to do with you.
Nothing at all. Like, stop making this about you.
You have no idea the emotional duress that I have been under to bring this information to you here today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Obviously, I know your girlfriend now and it's not this girl.
Spoiler.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah.
Like, how did this play out after you guys came out? Mm-hmm. Where did it go?
So we dated like outwardly for a year. We were together for 4 years total. So 2 years. I say 2 years in fake life, 2 years in real life. 2 years in real life. And I actually credit her because she's from LA. So that was like a really amazing sort of like stepping stone for me to move out here. And I knew her family and everything like that. So
Life always
was
gives you what you need, you know?
Exactly.
It's so great.
I think the end of us was a lot of, I think, just like an urge of her wanting to date men and just kind of like, I just get back to that. And
Did that hurt you?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between getting broken up with because it's you versus being broken up with because you literally aren't that gender.
Yeah.
And it just like is a deeper cut to feel like you're not good enough. So it was very emotional. Also at the time, I think truly if you took a CAT scan of my brain at age 25, it was about the size of like a stone fruit. And I just did not have the emotional capacity to handle that at all.
Yeah.
And it was like so many mutual friends. It was like my friend, Katie, shout out Katie, was such a good friend to both of us, really close with both of us, and would really just be like, you can't come to this thing. Like it was like a kid handling divorced parents.
Yeah.
Like we could not be in the same orbit. Just unhealthy and not coping with it.
Yeah.
That's one of those like woulda, shoulda, coulda. If I would have gone back, I really wish I did started therapy or talking to somebody at that time, like just to properly feel the feelings of grief over that.
Because you were just trying to like
be busy,
push them away. Yeah.
be busy. It was like like literally less than a week after we broke up. I was like, cool, let's Bumble. Bah.
Yeah.
And like just instantly like found another person and like just stay busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also the first girl breakup is just something fucking brutal.
Sheryl Crow knew. She knew. Cheryl.
Wow, girl.
First cut, baby. That is the deepest. It really is. It really is.
Why do you think that is?
I'll say because I know just from even that like first kiss moment, it's tough because it's like bonded. That moment is bonded to that person. But to me, it's more so bonded to like my sexuality and like my coming out journey that I'm like, God, it was like that euphoria I'll never experience again.
Like the realization,
Yes.
So
I think that's especially why like there's such a deep emotional bond to that person that made that breakup so brutal because it's like, oh, I'm not just like breaking up with you. I'm breaking up to like my first chapter of like being a gay woman.
Yeah.
So
they like open you up to a part of yourself that you just didn't know.
And I'm like, oh, I've only ever known being gay with a partner.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I'm like, who am I? And I also didn't really have many queer friends at that time. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna be busy and like, maybe I'll start like dating casually and whatever. But I didn't have like that community either. So
then you're like figuring all that stuff out on your own too.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
how do I date a woman? How do I flirt with a woman? It's like, oh my God.
yeah,
Nightmare.
it just felt like a very like huge, like, I don't know. It was a breakup, but also just like a huge opportunity to like really be like, here's you now,
Yeah.
you know? So
What do you think are the biggest lessons you took from that time in your life?
oh my gosh, let yourself feel things. I can still do it, but I choose not to do it of being so busy that you like can't process or feel things. That's so easy to just fill your calendar, literally do it up until you need to fall asleep and then just do it again the next day. So letting yourself feel the things is a huge lesson I take away from that time.
How do you do that though? Because that's like a lot. Sorry, I'm like,
Yeah.
excuse me. No, we're not moving on.
I'm like, let's stay busy and not answer the question.
Because it's easy to say, okay, like to let yourself feel. But if you are so shut off to that, how do you open that valve?
I think the first step in that is taking time to just be alone. That was a biggie for me. I'm like a monogamous through and through, starting with that 4-year relationship. But finding time of just you, what do you want to do? How do you feel today? And like being honest with those answers and doing those things is huge.
Like getting to know yourself.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
And like your intuition, then following that intuition.
Yeah.
Of like, I want to go on a walk right now. Okay, well then go on the fucking walk.
100%.
Yeah.
Because then I had this weird thing where I was like, whoa, for 4 years or at least 2 years when we were together in real life, like I was like, oh wait, I get to decide what I want to do this weekend. It wasn't just like a plan that was like handed to me and I'm going to follow along. Like it was the weirdest gear switch for me.
Yeah.
But I think that solo time just allows you to kind of sit with your thoughts and be sad with them, learn from them, whatever it may be. Yeah.
I love that. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with her?
We've seen each other at a few like mutual friends, like weddings and bachelorette parties. She lives in New York now and I think is straight. I asked her, I was like, did you date any women after me? And she was like, no. So yeah, I would imagine I'm like, she's in jail. She's in straight girl jail.
What advice do you have for someone who is maybe having to hide a relationship?
It's so different for everybody. I don't think I have universal advice for that person. I think it feels like the most isolating experience ever. So for that person, I would say you're not alone. A lot of people go through this and it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like first and foremost, it's exhausting. So I think trying to find ways where you can rest is so important because obviously some people aren't able to share. It's not by choice that they can't, come out and share that. So I think truly finding ways that you can rest and fill your own cup is really important.
By rest, like not be vigilant, right?
Yeah. Like don't be trying to it's exhausting with the lies and remembering things and all of that. Like just trying to find what brings you peace. And hopefully you can have peace with the person that you're seeing and you wouldn't have to, hopefully there's a day where you don't have to cover that up. But I know so many people aren't in positions where they can share that or get positive reception when they do share it. But if it feels right in your body and in your gut, you're doing the right thing and you should keep going. And hopefully you're going to find that I don't want to make it sound like they're going to die, but that light at the end of the tunnel of you can just truly be free with who you are and who you're with.
Yeah.
So.
Love that. Okay. I know this has kind of felt like therapy, but now I want to know, what are you working on in therapy?
What am I working on in therapy? This is a big one. My therapist said this the other day. I think I set unrealistic expectations for people. And she gave me this quote. And it was one of those I wrote down. And she was like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Because I'll kick it around and be like, no, but I really do think they're going to show up for me in this way. And I think they will do this. I will spin a story around this person that sets that bar higher and higher and higher. And it's like, no, if they didn't show up for you that first time, they're probably not going to do it again.
So it's almost like you set high expectations, not in the way of being critical or expecting someone to do something. It's like you give too many chances almost.
Yeah, like a benefit of the doubt, I would say. And then I'm really disappointed if they don't show up or I get frustrated and it's like, that person showed you their true colors already.
Yeah.
Literally believe them.
Yeah. Are you getting better at it?
Yeah. Like acceptance. It's just like, cool. I'm not going to throw that their way if I don't think they can handle it.
Yeah.
So totally fine.
I like that one.
Yeah, it was a goodie.
I'm working on finding joy in things.
Yeah.
Instead of, I've had a hard time coming back to myself. I think when you get into a relationship, you're you kind of go into a new mode and it's harder to find those times to yourself or those moments to yourself.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times a lot of the ways I try to do that is I'll put myself on a schedule, because before I met Mathilde, I was the girl that got up and I hiked every morning and I did yoga and I journaled and I was on mushrooms. And so now I associate that with that's what I have to do to be this best version of myself.
Okay.
But my therapist is that's not necessarily, that was what you had to do in that time. And that's who you were in that time. Yep. But maybe you can find yourself and access the same thing, but through different things. Like, it doesn't have to be this regimented schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just you go find joy in something and that's what brings you back to yourself. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So like, maybe I don't have to be this like freak that's on this crazy schedule every morning. I can just like have more fun. So I'm working on having more fun.
That's great.
So if you have any ideas to access joy, please leave them in the comments.
Back to the mushrooms comment. You can still do mushrooms with Mathilde, just to be clear.
No, and I still do mushrooms. That's one task that I don't forget to do.
Excellent. Because I was like, you don't have to stop that. Yeah.
I love a mushroom. I think they're so great.
Yeah.
But I just think like, even that, like not needing these things, like, or needing any of those things to feel the access to myself.
I used to get caught up in like the order of things.
That too, yeah.
And assigning time to them. Like, sorry, when you become a psycho about the time in which you meditate, you are therefore, you're not, like.
If I don't take my mushrooms by 8:30 a.m.
Yeah. I used to be like weird about time. I actually had this book that like truly like demystifies time management.
Oh.
I have to remember the name of it, but I was getting really nuts about time. And I like time feeling like this isn't worth my time. This is wasting my time. My time is precious. Like really getting into that. And this book is just like, time is made up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You've got plenty of it. It was just really like a book, like reassurance like that. And I was like, wow, I really needed that. I was getting so caught up in like assigning things to time.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help Matilda be like, we have to do this by this time. And be like, babe, time is made up.
Yeah.
It's a construct.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered with time.
Yeah.
Matilda's going to love that book. When I read that book.
You have plenty of time. Plenty of time.
We have all the time in the world.
But some things do just need to get done. And that's that. That's that.
That's why you need one in every relationship. Like we can't both be like me or else this wouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah. My one friend is like, she's very just like, oh my God, the divine energy, the feminine energy led us to this thing. And I was like, it's also because you sent some emails. Like, I'm like, like that happened because you did outreach and you sent it and then it happened.
I'll be like, babe, I wrote this in my journal. That's why this happened. And she's like, no, babe, this happened because I worked my ass off.
She's like, I made some calls.
That too.
Yeah. You need both.
Yeah.
You need both.
We play a game.
Okay.
It's called You Holler, You Ghost.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
No in between.
Yes.
They sneeze in sets of 6.
Okay. This is actually a specific, I'm admitting this for the first time, but my girlfriend Allie and I, when I sneeze a bunch, I'm annoyed at myself.
Oh, and how many times do you sneeze?
Like 3.
Okay.
3. It's like almost always 3. Everything in life comes in sets of 3s.
Yeah.
And I'll do it and I'll get irritated at myself for doing it, which is just so like, why? But I'll just be like, sorry, I sneezed. And Allie's like, I'm not mad about it. She'll sneeze 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, and it's always this type of tone. I go, okay.
Wow, projection.
So I think low key sneezing irritates me. And that's the first time I'm admitting that. I use that clip in the trailer. This is the first time I guess I'm ever saying that.
I will say bodily noises bother me. Mm-hmm. I kind of have a hard time with chewing.
Oh, 100%. The lip smacking.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything like that. It just really fucking annoys me.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think it's a personal problem.
Yeah, I think we have to, that's kind of just like living in general, but both of us seem to have that ick. Yeah. So I don't know if it's enough to ghost. I think that's like a growth thing and like getting used to that person.
Yeah.
But I agree that the body sounds, when someone has just finished eating and they're trying to tell a story and so clearly having acid reflux or burping as they try to get the story out, take your time. The story will always be there. I will literally sit and wait until you work through that acid reflux rollout that seems to be happening, and I'll stay still for the story.
I can't even talk on that one because honestly, that is so me.
Yeah. Another one. Oh, when people chew and are trying to get the story out and they're like, 1 second. What? Why? Why did you begin and then just hit a pause for 3.5 minutes? What? So we should just be alone. Yeah, not enough to ghost. Not enough to ghost still.
Okay.
I'm still going to stick with that.
That's good. That's therapized.
Okay. Thank you.
They want to role play. They're really into role play.
Okay.
But they want you to be Larry David.
In that, are we talking full costume, like bald cap, Benjamin Franklin style, like hair on the side, nothing on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they
I'm
have
dressing,
the costume.
like I'm putting on khakis and this cardigan. Okay. And complaining is pretty much the role play. Just complaining.
I guess so.
Yeah. I'll commit to the bit if that's what they need. I don't imagine it would actually like get sexual at any point. Like I don't see that getting sexual, but for them,
That's kind of even funnier. Like it never gets sexual. It's just
or
that's
for me,
it.
or it's like a completely solo mission. I'm just like, what's going on with traffic? Like whatever. Yeah.
Okay, what if they want to be Larry David?
Oh, they want to be Larry David? I think I would be like, I'm gonna need you to like turn around, I guess, and like kind of just go. Like again, it's probably solo mission. I don't need that energy. I don't think
So we're
in the
ghosting.
throne. Yeah, I think we would ghost.
If they want to be Larry David, we're ghosting. If they want you to be Larry David, we are U-hauling. Okay,
Yeah,
that's an important clarification.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine to like. Also, that story. Yeah, I would be like
Worth it.
Yeah,
That's great for your routine.
yeah. I was like, this is really good. Yeah, this
Material.
is material. Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
that's wild.
go with me on this one.
Okay. Oh, okay.
They, in the entrance of their apartment, have a fish tank. It has 6 koi fish. Every time you walk into or leave the apartment, they're insistent on you greeting or saying bye to these fish by name.
Okay.
The fish's names: Fletcher, Siwa,
No.
JDS, Glennon, and
Abby.
Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah. And it's reading and saying goodbye to them by name. Am I required to get the little fish food and stick my fingers in there and do the sprinkle on top?
Come here, little Siwa, Siwa, Siwa.
Oh, okay.
But like everything is perfect about this girl, but this weird thing, like everything.
But she's hot.
Dream girl.
But she's hot.
Even when people are with you guys.
Okay, so like even when people are over,
Like you're coming in with your like guys, let's go back to the apartment. Like let's hang.
Okay. If the fish stuff can just stay within the apartment, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, are we out to dinner in other places and fish is still a huge topic of conversation? Like, we can't just walk by a pond. We now have to stop and say,
Name all of the
that
fish.
one looks like Siwa, and like do all that. Like, you know, like if fish is a core part of the identity, then it's going to be a ghost.
Okay.
I'll do U-Haul if the fish stuff just stays in the meet and greet section of the apartment. And that's it.
I could not do it. I am ghosting so quick.
Okay, you're ghosting quick.
What the fuck? You have a fish named Siwa.
Well,
I am out. Fletcher, I'm gone.
I will say, I'm like, that's a lot to maintain. And it's expensive. So I'm like, the place is probably pretty nice. And like the lifestyle is pretty nice. So
You're right.
You know.
You're right.
You know?
Hold on, backtrack.
So I'm like, there's some economics around having a fish tank like that. But that needs to stay in the apartment only.
Got it. Okay. That's fair.
Yep. Can I ask you one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you one. Okay, U-Haul or you ghost? You're on like date 4 or 5 with this girl. And it's going really well. Like chemistry's so good, so real. And you're at her place and she goes in her closet and a pair of tap shoes just fall out. And she's like, oh, sorry, you're not supposed to see those. And you're like, oh, you tap dance? And it opens up this whole dimension of her personality that she traveled the world, competitive tap dancing now. That's really like why she travels so much. And tap dancing is like a core part of who she is.
This girl's in luck. I actually love a tap dance.
Get yourself some hardwood floors. Let's go.
Let's tap it out, baby.
Let's tap it out.
We are role play. It's tap dancing. It's tap dance role play. I love musical theater. I love a tap dance. I used to tap dance when I was young. I'm pissed my parents took me out of it.
Yeah.
That could have been me.
That could have been a longer game. Okay, great. Tap dancing it is.
Dancer.
That's how you guys like
tap,
are
tapping.
together. Neighbors are like, they're hooking up.
Oh, we know what they're doing.
Uh-oh. Cool. This is
No,
fun.
actually, you ghost.
Okay. And now we know. Matilde, no tap dancing, sister.
Couldn't you picture Matilde tap dancing?
I could see that being a hobby that you unnecessarily take on. Yes.
Where can people find you?
Okay. You can find me at Hey Free Samples across all social. Samples is my last name. And I do a monthly comedy show at the Motoring Club in Santa Monica, which has been written up as a place to meet single men, which I don't think that matters for anyone on this podcast.
But let's make it the place to meet single women.
Bring your single straights. And it's the first Wednesday of every month. So it's called Backseat Drivers.
And we will be there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We're going to bring all the lesbians.
Oh, I love it. There's a lot of humor in that realm. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Lesbian humor.
Yes.
Give me some last words.
Cheers. This was so lovely. Be true to yourself. That's it.
I love it. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing it with everyone you've ever met. You can find today's guest at Hey Free Samples, our show at Made It Out Podcast, and me at Mal Glowinky. Made It Out is produced and edited by Matilde Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
The cinnamon ring. Tasty, tasty, lick my butt. It is a donut. Thank you.